imperatives of environment, but needs to be balanced with the issues of security. And that's where, the conversation or debate ends. Because when you use the word security, the entire conversation ends because security is paramount. So what's the way out, Professor?
Yeah. I mean, there is a nexus here between security concerns, I would say, and also this vested interest of exploration of various kinds of minerals, etc. Now, how security can be aligned more to the ecosystemic goals than to the goals of development? That's one question that security establishment must rethink very seriously. Because as it is, climate change is endangering any security measure. So no amount of security measure is going to protect the people. It will finally be a kind of an armed warfare. But by the time the entire environment is destroyed, as it has happened during when napalm bombs were thrown in south of Vietnam, you could see the gorges and how it has destroyed the pristine nature. So warfare is connected to the destruction of nature. And now comes the second important aspect of it. How do you manage the river? How do you manage plants, flora, fauna, and the underground resources? So all that have to be combined together in an integrated model after assessing the risk, of course. And risk assessment should be on a long-term basis, should not be in terms of some monetary valuation, which is happening now. So there are some systemic issues that has resulted into this kind of a disaster. Then comes the question of people who are hankering for certain kind of profiteering. They find pristine hill slopes as the land for profiteering. They erect all kinds of infrastructure and they do not get any kind of a response, whatever it's supposed they are supposed to collect as a feedback. They don't get it from the government, from the scientific community. So they go one off, and finally we encounter this kind of a disaster. Therefore, a preventive measure on our own activity is the primary requirement, I would say, Kartiko.
Absolutely. I'm also joined by Vimlendu Jha, environmentalist. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me on this show. These are heart-wrenching visuals. We were discussing how instead of Himalayas being seen as nurseries of, or a nursery of life, or a nursery of life for Indian subcontinent, for river, water to be available to us, we see it as a unit of a resource extraction, tourism, employment, timber, mineral, power, security, road, and in end, we end up destroying it. So we were talking about what needs to be done now. And my question was, should we have a Bhutan-like model, sir, where we restrict people? Like today, I don't know, lakhs of people go to Kedarnath, Badrinath, We have allowed so much of vehicular movement. I have full respect. But then the sort of pressure it is building on mountains, apart from the fact that, you have commercial tourism, you have this eco-friendly tourism, you have religious tourism, then you have local movement. I mean to say, you have opened up the entire cosmos of the Devbhoomi to everyone.
I think there's some problem in the diagnosis of the problem. I don't think people are the problem here. Today, in terms of the disaster, it's not making off the people. It's actually the development model, the growth model, or so-called development model, which is actually a destruction model that we've been following for several decades. So, to squarely blame people, both the locals who have actually constructed their homes and their hotels on the riverbed, or for that matter, tourists who actually go there for religious bhakti reasons, that perhaps would be disservice and dishonest to analysis of what the problem is. We need to understand what we've actually done in the last few decades in the Himalayas. And when I say Himalayas, today, perhaps you and I are talking about Uttarakhand, but started from Ladakh to Arunachal, this is the same development model of devastation, of plundering that we've been following. And despite early warning systems, so when I say early warning, it's not just the alarm or the red alert or a blue alert. The early warning in the sense we've actually seen several of these disasters from Kedarnath in 2013 to 2023. We've seen the tunnel collapse. We've actually seen Joshimath sinking. Last 1 month, we've actually seen what's actually happening in Himachal, where Supreme Court actually mentioned that, perhaps Himachal is going to disappear very, very soon. All of these are enough warnings that we've actually received from Mother Nature. And despite that, there's nothing that we've changed. Look at what's the pursuit of the civilization. And basically, by civilization, I mean the government. Look at the Char Dham road project that we're talking about, which is one of the biggest disasters for the Himalayas. Indeed, on paper, of course, it looks really great because we talk about 900 kilometer of a 10-meter road, all-weather road that we have constructed. And because of that, we've actually cut down almost 56,000 trees. What we've actually done is dumped almost 20 million tons of debris. By the way, the visuals that you're actually showing there in that river, what is flowing down is not just water, it's actually silt. And what is that silt and mud and rock? All of that is the debris or the construction and demolition dust and debris and the mining activity, broadening of road and the other activities that has actually been lying. So the high-powered committee actually talks about 20 million tons of this silt that's actually been abandoned or dumped in our waterways, and that is what has actually formed. So, from cutting down of trees, broadening of roads, now we want a rail project, the tunnels that we're actually building, where we're not looking at the carrying capacity of the Himalayas, we're not looking at the ecological, fragile and dynamic, the ecology that Himalayas has. And we're doing the same construction that perhaps we're doing on Golf Course Road or in Gurgaon. So, our sense of logic and science is completely abandoned. Our pursuit is a particular kind of a development model, which is sporadic, immediate comfort and convenience, rather than looking at this. Like, look at this. Look at what's happening in Dehradun and Mussoorie, for that matter, or the entire Himachal. We're building, blasting the Himalayas, a fragile ecosystem that our scientists are telling us, so that we can reach a place from A to B faster. Now, reaching from A to B faster, is that more important? Swift mobility is more important, or our dependence on Himalayas is for air, for water, for timber, for our entire weather, for our agriculture, for our economy? All of that is suspended, or actually, in a way, put at risk because of this mad pursuit of development model that we're talking about.